with more. She is the co-author of Conviction Machine, Standing Up to Federal Prosecutorial Abuse. She has done a phenomenal job, and she won't say it, but I will. She has mostly been working pro bono because General Flynn doesn't have any money, which, by the way, that too, hopefully we can rectify. Sidney Powell, good to see you. Let's go through the updates here. Why don't, in your own words, explain your own letter, what we discovered today, and your thoughts on where we are, and should the judge vacate?
Oh, the case must be dismissed, preferably for government misconduct, but in any event, the guilty plea or the guilty verdict thrown out, because General Flynn is absolutely innocent. He has been the entire time, and you're right. We have documents attached to my filing earlier this week that shows that he was coerced into pleading guilty by virtue of a secret side deal between his former counsel and Mr. Van Grack and Ms. Ahmad, the special counsel prosecutors assigned to this case, who threatened to indict Michael G. Flynn, who had just had a newborn baby, if the general did not plead guilty immediately. So the case has been a travesty of justice from the get-go, as the documents that have just come out explain and make clear. They were planning to set him up in some fashion, tried one thing after the other. First was the Russia hoax, and there was absolutely no evidence of that. They even put a surveillance tail on a Russian person and made sure that person never contacted Flynn, and of course that person didn't contact Flynn. So by January 4th, they had to close the file on the Russia hoax on General Flynn. So then, you're right, the next day was a meeting in the Oval Office with Obama, which happens to be the same day that Christopher Steele wipes out all his documents on his supposed Steele dossier database. It's all tied together. January 5th and 6th were extremely busy days, and then Comey was dispatched on January 6th after that Oval Office meeting to brief President Trump on the salacious aspects of the dossier only, to set the news hook for BuzzFeed and CNN to run with the whole dossier story.
All right. So no derogatory information was identified in FBI holdings. This is what we learned today. And the same day, Strzok, as you said, instructed the FBI case manager handling Crossfire Razor, their name for General Flynn and Crossfire Hurricane, to keep the investigation open. Don't close Razor, he's saying. Then, of course, we have the infamous, what is our goal? Truth, admission, or to get him to lie, and so we can prosecute him, get him fired. Now, there was somebody that said maybe we should protect our institution by not playing games. And if we're seen as playing games, the White House is going to be furious. We believe that to be Bill, what's his name?
Bill Priestap, who
yes.
took the raw notes that are attached to yesterday's filing, yes. The same one who was suggesting that they needed to show him the evidence because that's what they always do, yet they purposely decided not to show any evidence to General Flynn, despite them having the transcript and him knowing they had the transcript of his calls.
Sidney, you told me something today I didn't know on my radio show. I asked you, why is Director Wray not showing any urgency? I read your book a long time ago. It's been a while. But you recalled, and you were writing in that book, that it was Christopher Wray who advanced the career of, let's see, Andrew Weissman?
Andrew Weissman. Wray was Andrew Weissman's supervisor when Weissman was at the Department of Justice running roughshod over the rights of everyone in Houston, as I talk about in License to Lie. There are people there that still have nightmares as a result of his conduct in violation of everyone's rights, naming over 100 people as unindicted co-conspirators, forcing them to lawyer up, threatening witnesses right and left, every variety of prosecutorial misconduct you can imagine. He was a terrorist of a prosecutor, and he was handpicked for that job by Michael Chertoff and Bob Mueller and James Comey and people like that during the Bush administration.
So my general feeling about FBI Director Wray, that he's not showing the urgency to fix the premier law enforcement agency in the country, might be right, my instincts? That's sad. I hope I'm wrong.
Your instincts are right. No, I'm afraid you're right. And he also was going to leave the Department of Justice with Mueller and Comey if they decided to bail at the same time.
Senator Lindsey Graham, Congress, bring him in. Ask him hard questions. Sidney, thanks for all you did for a war hero who protected his family. Now, Senator Chuck Grassley, he's calling for the Attorney General, who's been amazing here, to intervene in the Flynn case and demanding consequences for misconduct in the DOJ and the FBI. Here with reaction is the ACLJ executive attorney, Trump attorney. Actually, I've worked with him over the years, our friend Jay Sekulow. Great to see you. I see we now have social distancing as you're in your home office, I assume. But
I am.
Look, all right, what's your overall take here? Because to me, it looks like they set him up. Those words should never be said by any FBI agent, Jay.
I'll tell you what I think. I think it's exactly what I said on the floor of the United States Senate not that long ago. And that was this. We spent almost $40 million for what? To find out there was no collusion. Part of their prosecution conduct was going after General Flynn. With what evidence? No real evidence, but getting him to make a misstatement. That was their idea. And James Comey says, because I think I could get away with it. But I think there's something else at play here. And that is the initials on the actual notes and documents that have been released that Sidney was able to get. And what a great job she's done in this case. And that is this, OSC, Office of Special Counsel. Bob Mueller, where was he when this was going on? Absent without leave. AWOL. That's the problem. You know, I was involved in this case, Sean, for 3 years, from beginning until the end. And I will tell you this. The Weissmans of the world were running that office, not Bob Mueller. And that's bad leadership on his part. But what they did to General Flynn violates the Constitution, violates the officers of the court, which are the lawyers' responsibility ethically and professionally. And James Comey, who always plays holier than thou, to go out and say, I did it because I could get away with it. Well, you know what? The good news is, actually, they didn't get away with it. And I think you're just now seeing the beginning. And Attorney General Bill Barr has done a phenomenal job of doing what attorney generals do. Equal justice under the law. Follow the rule of law. What happened to General Flynn, what happened to the president is outrageous. It violated the Constitution. And I think the American people paid the price for that for 3 years. But what they did to General Flynn, what they did to the president of the United States, that's not something where you could just say, like they did in the IRS case, we're sorry and apologize, which we went to court to get more than an apology. But that's what they think is going to happen here? Well, obviously not, because you've got the U.S. Attorney John Durham investigating. But, Sean, I don't think we have seen the beginning of the reality of what was going on in this faux investigation from the top to bottom.
I've been told by people involved in all of this, 3 years of reporting, a very small but solid ensemble cast every night on this show. There's not one thing we were wrong on. We already saw it in the IG report. We're seeing it here.
Yep.
Jay, good to have you back. Thank you for being with us.